Oh yeah,
Oh, that's it.
yeah. Sorry about that. Sometimes this kind of thing happens at the beginning of a Zoom call. I don't know. I'm a technophobe, I think.
It only
Anyway,
took it only took 45 minutes to get that working. It's not been that long, so it's fine.
I know. Seen you
I'm
for
good.
a
Well, welcome to interview number 30 something.
yeah, yeah.
The world has gone crazy, even more crazy than it was, and I'm sort of trying to keep my
Oh man, I know, man. It's just it defies description, really, doesn't it? I mean, it's just incredible. You just can't. Thank God, from my point of view, thank God I'm a musician that I can just kind of distract myself, from it all
yes.
because it would drive you mad. Actually, the whole everything. Anyway, on that
Sometimes it can
positive,
feel that music is totally irrelevant when all this sort of stuff's going on, but then other
I
times you
know.
feel like music is this thing that kind of heals the soul, and that
Yeah,
people really
it's
need it.
it's sanctuary, isn't it? It's sanctuary. That's the only way I could describe it.
How have you been coping with COVID and all that? Because that's been going on for quite a while now. How did you deal with that?
Yeah. Well, just like everyone else, I was kind of, because I teach, luckily I've been able to keep keep going in terms of income with teaching online through the worst of it. And maybe say now for the last few months I've been back in situ, just doing my normal kind of piano teaching, basically. As far as gigs go, very little actually, Tom. A few here and there. But it's almost like it's a big novelty when you get out and actually
Yeah,
play
right.
somewhere.
I
Um,
know.
but apart from that, the way I've been kind of keeping myself sort of going is just playing a lot at home and just you know indulging my interests in quite a broad range of
You've been doing quite a
styles.
lot
And
on Facebook, haven't you?
yeah, yeah,
A lot of classical stuff.
yeah, a lot of classical stuff. Yeah, very self-indulgent, and
That's
it's
been very.
become
I mean, I've been avoiding Facebook more recently just because um, not because of you. I mean,
yeah, come
but
on,
because of I just can't deal with it.
yeah, I know what you
But
mean.
yeah, it was really nice what you were doing. It's been nice what you've been doing, and have you had much response to that?
Yeah, I mean, I tend to have a kind of a core of people, like friends and people who will indulge me in my, whatever it is. I mean, I try to keep it as varied as possible, so people don't get bored. It's just little nuggets and um, well, it's been quite selfish in a way, really, Tom, because it's allowed me to it's given me a kind of raison d'etre.
Yeah.
And keeping engaged with the music.
Have you considered adding more Glenn Gould grunting into your classical performance style?
I thought about it a couple of times. What should I do here? My dad is always kind of, I mean, even from when I was a kid, said you'll need to get a gimmick. You need a hat or something.
Your gimmick is you don't grunt.
That's it. Yeah, yeah. Or conduct while I'm playing.
One thing I wanted to ask you, because you've got quite an interesting mixture of influences in your music, and there is this kind of classical thing there that's quite a bit stronger than a lot of jazz piano players. So how did you get into playing jazz?
That's really difficult to answer that, to be honest. My dad had a kind of a very general interest in sort of Oscar Peterson and Earl Garner. So there were a few records.
Was
When
he a
I,
musician, your
when,
dad?
sorry?
Was he a musician?
Well, I mean, he played piano, I mean, but not professionally or
No.
anything, no. But he played a bit of piano, but he kind of gave that up when I was very young. So I suppose my earliest experiences would be hearing him doing his practice, and I mean, he would sort of bash out a few kind of standard type tunes in his own way. And I
Yeah.
think that probably did have a kind of early. It must have had an early effect on me, because piano very quickly became my instrument of choice. I mean, also my aunt's husband, my uncle George, he was Polish, and he actually fled from the Nazis during the Second World War, and
Right.
he was a concert pianist. I mean, he was
Wow.
actually a fantastic musician, you know. So he would come and visit at the house from time to time, and I'd hear him playing Chopin and
Did you have a
all that
piano in
kind
the
of.
house?
What's that?
Did you have a
Yeah.
piano in your house?
Yes, yeah, yeah, oh yeah, yeah. The piano that I grew up with was just an upright that my dad, I think, inherited or whatever, you know. Um, so later I kind of became interested in. I mean, obviously the Beatles and all of that stuff was a big influence, when I was very young. So the whole kind of jazz thing sort of disappeared from my head for quite a long time. And it was mainly sort of through rock music and the developments in rock music in the early 70s that began to kind of draw my ear back towards, interesting harmonies and experimental kind of music. And I guess that side of things, like for instance, maybe the crossover, what is called fusion these days, came in the 70s. And that would be people like Chick Corea, very particularly, and Herbie Hancock and John McLaughlin. So it was really the people who were straddling the divide between rock and jazz at that time that was my kind of my channel into jazz per se,
And what did you studied music, didn't you?
Yeah. Well, I studied. I actually avoided studying music at school because I just wasn't into the kind of stuff they were offering at school. In other words, I wasn't into singing the British Grenadiers and that kind of very sort of straight-laced stuff that they were teaching at that time. So I bypassed that, but I did my piano exams and did the classical thing and worked my way through to grade 8 and passed that. So I passed grade 8 by the age of about 16.
What mark did you get, Chick?
Oh, that's I don't want to be immodest.
Come on, Chick. The people want
I
to know.
don't. I actually don't remember. I just don't remember. But I put it this way: I got a nice, comfortable pass.
A nice, comfortable pass.
Yes, yeah. I did okay. But I wasn't as sorry.
I got to grade 6 and I passed by 1 mark, and I thought, yeah, I think that's probably my ceiling on the piano. But it was better than my cousin who was doing a trumpet exam, and the examiner died during the exam. And he just sort of collapsed onto the desk during a tune, and then there was this long extended period where my cousin was standing there waiting for the examiner to say something, and then eventually he had to go and he had actually died. But my cousin had just passed by 1 mark as well by that point, so he...
Jeez, oh. Now that could be construed as either your cousin had been playing so well that the guy just couldn't handle it, or the other
killed him.
Killed him, yeah. No, it was nothing as dramatic as that with me. I mean, I did well. I mean, but I have to be honest and say that my technically and musically, I was an experimenter in these days. I did a lot. What I was doing was a lot of improvising at the piano, and I had some friends at school, and we were quite because we were all interested in a certain kind of thing, progressive rock, and some of these people. That is the kind of thing that we were doing. So I was more an experimenter at the piano, and I actually in these days found the discipline of reading music and mastering classical pieces on the piano. I wasn't as great. I mean, I think if I'd had a really good teacher, I might have achieved more at an earlier age. But anyway, I didn't really come to sort of getting a really good piano technique, or I don't mean that, but but getting a better piano technique until I was a lot older.
Right.
Actually.
But what was it you studied at uni?
Well, it was a music degree. I did a BMUS degree, and I studied. Well, it was like it was like a balance of composition and performance.
Right.
So I had to do a performance, and I had a dissertation as well. So BMUS is quite an all-round musical experience. You know, you do orchestration, harmony and counterpoint, performance, composition. If you want to offer that, that comes later on. Electronic music, which interested me. You know, electroacoustic music, and I went through a very kind of heavy modern classical kind of interest in these days, like Stockhausen and Cage and Elliot Carter and, you know, some of the more heavy dudes from, you know, like Schoenberg onwards. And it was really 20th century music, avant-garde music, that was the thing at that time that was engaging me, you know. And therefore, from that grew my interest in the avant-garde jazz guys like Ornette, could be, you know, Anthony Braxton, Ornette Coleman, and you know, some of the European guys as well that were a bit more experimental. That kind of, because for me, what was most interesting was the balance between composition and improvisation. There was a sort of, it's always been quite difficult to sort of separate these two aspects for me, and that is still the case, actually.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I was trying to think when we met. So we started playing together, probably in the 80s or so, I guess. We played for quite a long time with George Lyall on bass and my brother on saxophone, and then we played together for quite a long time with Joachim Milder and Sweden and Mike Dunning, and I always loved that mixture of your composing. I think you're one of the best jazz, you know, composers in the jazz scene in Scotland.
Thank you. That's very kind.
But also this balance of improvisation. I think you always had that wonderful balance between the two.
Well, thank you. I mean, that's always what been my aim. I mean, you know, you'll probably know this yourself, Tom, that as you know, jazz musicians in Scotland. In Scotland, there was quite. Don't get me wrong. There's some really fine jazz musicians in Scotland. There always has been, but I think there's always been a tendency towards a wee bit of conservatism when it comes to the mainstream. You know, the mainstream of jazz in Scotland for a long time was very sort of rooted in standards playing. You know, now that's great, and don't get me wrong, if you're good at that, then that's if that's your bag, that's brilliant, you know. But I always had a kind of, although I did play a lot of standards gigs and stuff, my real interest was always in composition and new ideas and creating new things. And I think maybe that's where you and I and Phil and some of the other, Kevin and some of the other guys, where our kind of interests met was we were trying to do something a bit different and take the music in a recognisably, in a different direction, and perhaps with a particularly Scottish dimension to it as well, you know.
One of the things I'm interested in asking you about is, you know, I think sustaining a longer career in Scotland's doesn't feel that easy. Certainly I don't think it's that easy to do, and I wonder how you felt about it. And
yeah, absolutely, Tom, totally. What I've really had to do, and I would say probably in the last 10 years or so, is to kind of divide my time more between you know, gigging, if you like, and teaching. I've had to increase my teaching a lot, you know, really in order to survive, basically, you know. That's had its good aspects though as well, because I teach at St Mary's Music School. I teach jazz piano there, and that's been pretty good because I've seen a few talented people come through in that situation. A little bit of a connection there as well,
Did
you know, and
Alan
that's very
Benzie?
satisfying. Yes, he was a student of mine, Alan.
Yeah, he's great, and he was telling me about being there and working with you, and it was really obviously very important for him.
That's great, and Alan's one. He's a very good example of that. There was there've been a few good musicians, not all piano players, but so it's been nice, and that way I felt my enthusiasm for the music has been kept alive by that younger generation of people that I've been in contact with, you know, which is great.
And you've had a long relationship with Rob Hall as well. You've done quite a lot of albums together.
Absolutely, we've done 6. Rob and I we recorded our 6th album a couple of years back, and that's been really very important from the point of view that it's allowed us. I mean, well, for a start, a duo is a very portable thing to take out there and gig and organise, you know, unlike a larger group. So from a practical point of view, it's been good. It's allowed us to kind of play in sort of, you know, quite far-flung places across the UK. We've done a few gigs abroad, but basically it's also been a vehicle for a particular type of shared interest that we've had in chamber music, you know,
Right.
and particularly for want of a better description of it, maybe the ECM kind of direction of, you know, where that roster has taken the music in the last 30 or 40 years, very influential, being mainly a kind of identifiably European aesthetic.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that's been really good, because it's allowed Rob and I to indulge ourselves in, you know, that kind of away from the more jazz mainstream and more into kind of that sort of vague middle ground of classical and a little bit of folk music and more abstract electronics. And so we've done the whole lot and hopefully developed and forged a language which has developed over the years.
This interview is going to be shown during the interval of the gig on Friday. I just wondered what you thought of the first half.
Not with you there. Do you mean the interview here? Or what?
This
what
is being shown after the first half of the gig.
Oh, I see.
So I just wondered what you thought of the first half of the gig.
A bit under-rehearsed, I thought. but you know, apart from that, all the guys, then, you know, they're very resourceful, great bunch of guys, and you know, it's been fantastic so far. Loved every second of it.
Great. Well, listen, Chick. It's thank you for answering that ridiculous question and not trying me to go fuck myself.
I know, you just threw me there for a second, Tom. But yeah.
Thanks a lot for talking to me today, and it's been really interesting hearing all that stuff about how you got into it and the way you awakened your way through it. And I'm really looking forward to playing with you tomorrow. And and thanks a lot for coming on to Playtime again. And anyway, we'll see you tomorrow, Chick.
Fantastic. I really look forward to it, Tom. Yeah, it'll be great to see all you guys again. Sure.
All right, thanks a lot, Chick.
Cheers, Tom.
Bye.